There are some answers this morning in a real-life Hollywood murder mystery.
Senior correspondent John Miller says police have identified the victim and they've questioned one man in connection with the human body parts that were found in the Hollywood Hills this week.
Late Thursday night, detectives executed a search warrant on the third floor of this Hollywood apartment building. They also sifted through trash cans. They carried out a box full of evidence, hoping it would provide new clues.
Cops were just by asking about how often they pick up our garbage, and I told them they picked it up last night.
It all began Tuesday when professional dog walker Lauren Kornberg stumbled upon a grisly discovery in the hills just below the famed Hollywood sign.
I looked over and it rolled down the hill and fell down into a ravine. I thought it might have been a soccer ball. I turned to my mom and I said it actually looked like a head. And so we thought maybe it was some sort of a movie prop.
The next day, coroner's cadaver dogs found 2 feet and 2 hands in a shallow grave within 50 yards of the head. Police believe the body parts all belong to the same victim, likely in his 60s.
We still believe now that this crime occurred someplace else and that the body parts were dumped up in the canyon here at some point after the crime occurred.
More than 100 LAPD officers and 30 detectives have been looking for clues. The killer apparently believed if the bag was left off the beaten path in the wooded area, it wouldn't be found for weeks or months. But if that was the plan, it didn't work out.
If someone commits a murder, you can dispose of the body in places that are less sensational. And with the Hollywood sign, it may be, heard around the world. It's almost like it's playing out head, hands, feet, and now where's the torso and the limbs?
John Miller used to be the head of the LAPD's Major Crimes Division. Lucky for us, though, he's with us now. Yeah. Still have plenty of context there, so I know you have a lot of information from the folks in LA. What led them to this apartment?
Well, what they did was they relied on the coroner, who said the victim had only been dead several days. So they went right back to the missing persons reports and they said, let's just look at the stuff from the last couple of weeks. They zeroed on an individual. They visited that person's friends and associates. They found his boyfriend. And his boyfriend said, yes, he's been missing. He was questioned last night. He is not being regarded as a suspect at this time, been cooperative with investigators. But now the rest of that game begins, which is who are his friends, who are his enemies, who are his associates, who are his former associates, and they'll start going through that until they get a picture of this to figure out, are they dealing with a contained case, or do we have a serial killer? What is it?
John, I'm curious about what your former colleagues are saying, because just the fact that this body or the parts replaced by the Hollywood sign says to me that somebody wants to get attention. What are they saying back at your old place?
They are thinking that this was just a bad execution of the opposite intent, which is wherever the main part of the body is, that's somewhere. But the things that would lead to identification, the hands and the head, they thought if they put in a wooded area, it wouldn't be found by the people who stick to the trails. They weren't counting on the dogs and the coyotes and other things. And I'm not sure this went the way they intended it to.
So they're not thinking the coyotes would have helped, for lack of a better word, in terms of dumping things there?
I don't know if they thought it through that far, but that would have happened.
So what happens now?
What happens now is they'll start to talk to everybody in this victim's universe and figure out who has a motive, who has a disagreement, who was where, and who can account for their time. But at that stage, this is the elite robbery homicide unit. This is the best detective unit in LAPD has been assigned to this case. And this is very familiar territory to them.
Such a wild story.
It's so gruesome.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
John, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.